Oh my goodness, it is strawberry season. Do you know how excited I am when strawberry season comes? I mean, I think we all love strawberries, but of course, one of our favorites is strawberry shortcake. And I know there are so many variations on this classic dessert. Whether it's a cakey biscuit, an actual cake, there are so many different types you can make. And while I grew up on a very traditional shortcake that was just made in a large sheet pan, let me tell you something. I changed it up a bit and I am making a layered strawberry shortcake cake. That's right, it's a shortcake cake, meaning this is over the top, delicious, and amazing. This is a very simple baking powder cake. So it's kind of if you would put a biscuit made out of baking powder and a cake together, and this is what they're gonna become, an easy, delicious cake, which is really just the vehicle for amazing whipped topping and strawberries. Let's be honest here. To start, we're gonna do the reverse creaming method. So we're gonna start by putting our dry ingredients right into an electric mixer. Some sugar, then flour, and baking powder. Like I said, baking powder is one of the primary things that's gonna lift this cake, so it is extremely important. Just mix those together until they're well combined. With the mixer running on a low speed, you wanna add some butter a little at a time. Now, of course, the butter needs to be at room temperature or slightly softened. Just leave it out overnight, then you don't have to worry about it. Add the butter little bit by little bit. What this is doing is reverse creaming. We're not gonna first mix up that butter and sugar and make it light and fluffy. You're gonna coat all that gluten in the flour with the butter. This protects the gluten and doesn't dry out the cake as much, and it makes a really uniform crumb, which I love. Once it's all mixed together and just like kind of a sandy texture, you wanna mix together your wet ingredients. I just like to do mine in a large measuring cup. The milk is in there, then add an egg, a little vanilla, and then just mix that together till it's well combined. With the mixer running on low, just add it in a slow, steady stream, and then just turn it up until it's well mixed. Okay, seriously, was that not the easiest cake ever? Just spray your pans with some nonstick cooking spray and then evenly put your batter in between the two. Now, you're gonna notice this is a very different batter than a lot of cake batters. It is not very runny. You are gonna have to kind of push it out to the edges. I know it sounds weird. That's kind of the baking powder slash biscuit type dough. Once it's in there, just put them right into your preheated oven. Let them bake until they are puffed, lightly golden around the edges, and a toothpick inserted in the middle comes out clean. Then remove them from the oven, let them cool for about 5 minutes in the pan, and then completely on a rack. Now make sure they are completely cooled before you move on, because you do not want your amazing whipped cream mixture to melt off the cake. That would just defeat the purpose. Once your cakes are cooled, you can move on to this really simple, easy, and delicious filling. First, you just want to whip your cream cheese. So make sure it's at room temperature because it's gonna whip a lot easier. I like to use the paddle on my electric mixer for this. It just makes sure it's really smooth and that you don't have lumps. Once it's whipped, you can just kind of scrape down the sides, scrape off the paddle, and then change it out with your mixing attachment for whipping the cream. Add in some wonderful whipping cream. I love whipping cream. I mean, who doesn't? Come on. And then you just want to flavor it up. First, sweeten it with a little bit of sugar, then add some vanilla, and last, some orange zest. I know this sounds weird, but citrus really brightens a dessert sometimes. And while, don't worry, the strawberries are ripe, delicious, beautiful, taste amazing, the citrus in the orange really brings out those flavors and makes them pop and marries so well together. Once it's all in there, just turn the mixer on. You might want to start slow at first just to make sure it's not going to come over the edges, and then keep turning it up until it's on high and whip it to a fairly firm peak. You want this to hold together really well, and the cream cheese is not only gonna taste amazing, but it's also gonna really stabilize this whipped cream, so it's really gonna hold up to layering the cake like we're going to. That's really important, so it's gonna be a very strong cake and not just gush out all over the sides. Once your whipped cream is at its firm peaks, you can just assemble your cake. I told you this was gonna be easy. To start, just put your first layer down and then put on about half of your whipped cream mixture. On top of that, all I'm doing is taking these washed and very ripe, beautiful strawberries. It is strawberry season after all. Cutting off the tops and then slicing them. You really don't have to worry about how you slice them. You can do it thinly and shingle them all over. You can do them thickly. I mean, hello, they're gonna taste good no matter what. Put them around that first layer and then put on your second layer. Kind of slightly push it down just so it adheres to that whipped cream mixture, and then put on the rest of your whipped cream. If you think too much, one, you can just eat it out of the bowl, or just really pile it on the top, because can you have too much whipped cream? I don't think so. Once that's on there, just smooth it out to the edges and then put on more strawberries. Now on this layer, I like to be a little bit more tedious with how I put on the strawberries just because this is what people see. So put them on maybe a little nicer. If not, don't worry about it. However you do it is just fine. Once they're on there, this cake is ready to go and be devoured. Because let me tell you something. Once you make this, it's gonna be gone. Your family's gonna love it, your friends are gonna love it. And if you don't share it with anyone, you are gonna love it. It is addictive, and it is the taste of summer that I cannot wait for you to try. If you are ready for summer, make sure to like this video and subscribe to the Gray Boxwood channel, and keep up to date with everything I'm doing around my farm by following me on Instagram and Facebook. It is so important to keep up with you guys, and I love to hear what you're doing, so make sure to follow me on all platforms. Can't wait to hear from you.